to another video. We're deer hunting again today. I have a bunch of moo cows right in front of me, but I've seen deer blow through this canyon before. There's a lot of bucks here. I've seen a lot of bucks, just generally speaking here, but none of them are super huge, so it's not the end of the world. Hopefully we'll find at least a decent buck in here, but we'll see. It's starting to get light on us. Alright, we got the first deer of the trip. Looks like a doe to me, but it's pretty far away too. There's a lot of hunting pressure here, so normally with as many people as are here running around, they push deer all over the place. So me sitting in this little canyon normally serves me pretty well because the deer just come charging up this canyon. And I have this big open hillside to the right and left of me that are within shooting range. So, alright, I glassed up a really nice buck. Problem is, it's the wrong kind of buck. A nice pronghorn following a doe, which was kind of funny. But yeah, lots of deer. There's that one little buck with 17 does, which is crazy. And then there's another little buck that was with like probably 10 or so does. So we're in the zone, just nothing that big. I have one of the bucks bedded, but they're so small. I think we're gonna give them a pass. So we'll keep looking. There's deer around. I'm gonna move on to a different spot. We got a big update. My camera died. Right after, as soon as I was like, I'm gonna leave this spot, my camera died. So that sucked. And as soon as I started walking out, a big buck jumped up right in front of me. He was at 200 yards. Him and another buck, both bucks were pretty good, but the first one was a good buck. I had him in the crosshairs. I could have shot. Like I said, he was at like 200, 250, but he was running, and I just wasn't super comfortable with it, so I held out. But as soon as that happened, I hopped on the ATV and I zipped around to essentially where I bumped him, and I snuck in there a little ways, and I saw some does. So there's some does that were pretty much right where he was going, so I feel like I'm pretty sure, moral of the story, I'm pretty sure I know where he's at. So I'm gonna try and sneak in there, and hopefully he's still in there. I think he is. I glassed up a bull elk, which is sweet. He was just across the way, so I know that the bucks didn't bump that way. Otherwise, you'd think he'd bump the elk. And then those does were just pretty much right where he ran. So I feel like he's got to be just below them or close to them. So I got some fresh battery, and I'm going to try and stalk in there and hopefully get a shot on him. But he's a big buck. I mean, he's not like the biggest buck you'll ever see, but compared to the little dinks that I was seeing, I think he was, I don't know, he went up and he got skylined, and he just looked so big, especially compared to what I've been seeing. So he's a buck that I'd be happy to take. So either of the two bucks, honestly, they're both pretty decent. So well, we had a couple guys show up. I'm kind of right here in the position where I'm pretty sure that those two bucks dropped down in. At first I was kind of frustrated, but then I was like, well, it's kind of a good thing, because if they're making all their ruckus up there with their side by side, that in theory they might bump the deer towards me. But nothing happened, so well, I'm not sure what happened. We saw 1, 2, 3, 5 bucks, if you count the antelope. Bunch of does, an elk. And this evening, we saw 1 doe. So, morning's definitely the time to be glassing. Trevor should be in here tomorrow, so it's really making me regret not shooting at that buck. I feel like I could have, but I just wasn't super confident. I was just kind of shaky, and had buck fever, you know, shaking like crazy. So anyway, I'm gonna start working my way back to the truck.
Yep.
You see him?
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's kind of in those sagebrush.
I think I hit him.
I think you hit him.
All right, I look like a weirdo with this whole beanie hat set up. We were just driving along, and a coyote was right in front of us. Pulled over the ATV, and I got a few shots off. I got 2 shots. The first one I'm pretty sure hit him. I'm not sure about the second, but he was just right up here, and I haven't seen him run off since. It was pretty easy to see him running because the sagebrush is pretty low here. So I think he's down, but I'm running up here to see. Again, ignore my wonderful outfit here, but we got at least something down. A pronghorn, we jumped a pronghorn right in front of us too. So I'm gonna get my gun out. He could still be injured, but he's somewhere right here, so hopefully I find him.
We just glassed a bunch of does. We're hopping out the spotter, trying to see if one of them's a buck. We think one of them might be a buck. We're trying to figure that out.
Is that another one right there? Down lower?
I don't know. Maybe. Can you see if one of them's a buck?
That's such good footage. So I think some might have just bumped them, but they were just hiding like in the shade of rocks and stuff. So they probably are just lights.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Dude.
Hey, for my first, I'm done.
Alright, well, Trevor went to get closer and try and shoot that buck. And just as he started closing in, another hunter on the ridge next to us started shooting at him. And 6 missed shots later, and the deer were out of there. Dude, what on earth? That's like a 900-yard shot. So frustrating. Trevor's pretty close to where they went over the ridge, so I'm going to direct him and see if he can't relocate them on the other side.
So I bombed down that hill and then bombed up it trying to chase after a buck. I just made it to the other side. I'm on top and I'm not really seeing them. There's a couple little low spots I'm gonna check. Just gonna keep exploring and trying to sneak around and see if we can come up with a buck.
Well, I was looking for that coyote that I shot at, and 2 deer just came running directly at me. Something bumped them over there. They're running right at me. And it wasn't until they were a little closer that I realized that one of them was a buck. It wasn't huge at all. It was pretty small. And if I would have had my gun, I don't know if I could have held back and not shot the little thing. But of course I dropped my pack and was just walking around without a gun. right as they run at me. So I ran to my pack, grabbed my gun, and kind of tried to chase after him and followed him into this little valley. And I don't know if I would have shot him, but I'm just trying to see if I can pick him out of this little valley. They were bumped and then they saw me, so probably pretty far, but you never know. I'm going to keep looking and maybe I'll turn him up. It's too bad Trevor isn't here. Oh, there's no luck locating that buck. But I did meet up with Trevor, so I heard a few gunshots, 2 gunshots, and it was pretty close to me, and I was like, what the crap? Turns out it was Trevor. I guess he bumped my coyote that I shot this morning. Apparently it's still alive, which is not good. He said there's a ton of blood on the back. I guess I hit a little too far back. So that's not good, but he saw it running off and tried to chase it. But in the process, he was glassing when he bumped it, and so he dropped his binos, and now we can't find his binos. So we're looking around trying to find them, because that's a pretty important piece of equipment. I also want to find them so I can see how much blood there is and see if this thing's gonna die or not. He saw the direction it ran, and he took 2 shots at it. It sounds like it was pretty rushed, and he just was like, just trying to do something. So I don't think, he said neither of them connected, so that's a bummer. But we know the general direction that he went, so I'll probably go and try and see if we can finish him off. You never want to wound something and just let it run around injured like that, but he said he was doing pretty good, considering the fact it had been shot, so that's good and bad. But we'll keep you in the loop. We're just gonna hopefully find his binos. I found his binos. So what happened here? Explain this.
Okay, so that means I was right here, and it literally jumped out of that bush, that safe bush. It was buried right in here, right in here, here. But it just took off that way, and I got out my rifle as fast as I could and tried to get a shot off. I put 2 on it, but obviously it wasn't a very good shot. So standing, it was running, not exactly my best moment, so that's all right. It was fun shooting at a coyote.
Okay, so we just found Trevor's binos, which means we found where the yote was. The question is, the problem, it's not really a problem, but those deer came running right at me, and I was like, I just sprinted after them. I ran, I grabbed my backpack, or I grabbed my gun, and I just sprinted. They cut in front of the ATV, and they went right here, and I followed right behind them, and I was checking on my map, because I have my tracker going of where I've walked, and I was 20 yards from this spot. 20 yards from right here. I literally was right here, and I just ran up following those deer. And then I get up there, I sit down, and I'm like, you know, I give you guys the update, like, hey, I'm just trying to pick out this little tiny buck out of this canyon. And then 2 giant gunshots. Trevor's low. 2 giant gunshots. 2 gunshots, they aren't giant. 2 gunshots, and Trevor's like, apparently the one that shot him, and he was standing right here. Like, I had just gone over that hill. I go over the hill, and somehow, like, that means the yote had to have been 20 yards from me. If you look at my lines, you'll see that I was freaking grinding. 4 miles, so not too bad. But I literally spent 4 miles gritting for this yote in this stuff. And somehow I missed him by 20 yards after I ran chasing after this buck. Goodness. But then we found his binos.
Amen.
God is good, huh? We just gotta get something on the ground now. Not injure stuff anymore. Some of those guys that this morning they shot 2 bucks down in this canyon that we were pretty close to, so we just went down and helped them pack out some meat. They have 2 full deer to pack out, so I just made it to the top, but Trevor's just cresting over right now, so good to see some meat though. Good to see some antlers. Hopefully we can get one on the ground of our own.
Right, ready?
Tell us about your meat packing system.
So, this is a day pack, and you can see the cord wasn't gonna fit in the bag, so I had to strap it in position. And hey, got it up the mountain, that's what matters. That's pretty good. Little deer. We're glassing the spot, and we spotted some deer that were bedded in the shade of this cliff, and we found a buck.
Come look at this guy. Very gently. It's hard to tell because he's not moving. He might be just a 2x. Super careful. Super careful. Oh, no, he's just a 2x. Do you see that?
Yeah.
It's pretty zoomed in on him.
That's a pretty good buck. I'll take that. We're about 400 yards out. Kate is kind of testing out the waters, seeing if he's going to decide to go for this buck or not. We're definitely going to make a play for the buck, but we're a little decided as to who's going to make the play. But
This one's pretty solid, and I have him in the crosshairs. Like, honestly.
Right? Like his head is uphill. He's right under a boulder that looks like the top half of like a pentagram. Just chewing away. How you feeling?
I think this is your buck.
You want to switch?
Want to get behind this and see how it feels?
Sure.
That's him.